Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Wow. What can you say?
Buongiorno. Italy. How great was that? They were so wonderful.
Unbelievable. Yeah, for the first time in their country's history, Italy has a curling medal, and not just a curling medal, a golden curling medal. Stefania and Amos, perfect call on their way to a mixed doubles curling championship.
And, we thought they were the Cinderella story of the games when there were 4-0 and 5-0 and 6-0. And when we said, when is the clock going to strike midnight?
Right.
And Cinderella's going to go back to her rags, and that pumpkin's going to turn, the coach will turn back into the pumpkin. They just believed. And they just nonchalantly went to work here. And did you see, like, when she threw her last rock, not even and all of Italy watching, and the Italian media here. Did you hear the call of the Italian?
Unbelievable.
I love it. I love it. I do think we'll talk to Joanne and Mike about that they got to really up their game. But it's a beautiful story. I can tell you the World Curling Federation would have been proud as punch to see that medal podium. I was here for it. It was really emotional too. Well, maybe I was the only emotional one.
No.
But with Italy, Norway, and Sweden, and Oscar Eriksson.
Yeah.
Another medal for him. I mean, he's the winningest curler for Olympic history. So, and he can win here.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, great stories abound, no doubt. Hi again, curling fans, wherever you're watching tonight. We're getting ready for a house party. Of course, everybody excited about Strombo in the house call, so we're looking forward to that. But certainly an outstanding performance. And you know what I'm looking forward to 4 years from now when you and I are going to Milano and Cortina, being there for that. And, I think it's so important to talk about the fact that now curling in Italy in the lead up to those games is going to get so much hype and publicity.
I was in Torino, however many years ago that was, and I actually went and trained with the Italian team in Pinerolo in the mountains, and we had a lovely dinner together. And the coach of the team is here now. And they were working hard for that moment as well, and investing a little bit of cash and so on. But, when you live in Italy, it's motorsports and cycling and downhill skiing. So curling is sort of a little bit down the list, but maybe not after last night. The delegation was here from Milano Cortina as fans. They were checking out the venue. Yes, they were here as fans because guess where Stefania is from? That cool as a cucumber 22-year-old darling who was in the Italian Vanity Fair.
Right.
I mean, so she could be a real future star for them, and just so calm, so calm, and making everything. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see.
Beautiful to watch. The game continues to evolve and grow. We are on the eve, of course, of the 4-person game. Put the mixed doubles behind us. I know that's what Canadian curling fans are thinking of. We'll get into Gushue and we'll get into Jones, but why don't we go to our expert panel first call to get.
I thought that was us. No, no? Okay. Bring him in.
Yes, it is you.
You didn't hear that? You didn't hear that?
Oh, wow.
They're practicing behind us. It's happening, the 4-person game.
Good evening to all of you. Bruce, you called it. What a moment for Italy.
Yeah, it was really, really enjoyable to watch. They were a remarkable young duo. There was one point, Devin, that I wish I had driven home harder during. We kind of mentioned this, but Mosaner, as you know, his hero is Kevin Martin. And if you look back in the history, they've been doing curling at the Olympics for a long time now. And in the history of the games, as you know, only 2 teams have ever gone through undefeated. Kevin Martin in 2010, Jennifer Jones in 2014. Now you add to that list this unlikely duo from Italy, undefeated. I don't know, Colleen, we were talking in the booth today about how long they can be a Cinderella story. I think when you get to 10-0, 11-0,
and a gold medal.
Yeah, no longer.
Cinderella's married the prince.
Yeah, the shoe fits, the slipper fits, no question. So it was really, really fun to watch. And we were all dazzled by just, I think you touched on this, but just the zen of these two. They were calm. They never freaked out. And when they had a little bit of adversity after the first end, a tiny little bit, down 2-0, they just bounced back and never got flustered. So it was a real great moment. A lot of fun for the three of us.
Nice.
Joy to see.
Joe, you were watching it all. What did you like about the Italians game?
I love their chemistry. I think that they're a phenomenal duo. They support each other the whole way through. It's a massive game for any curler. And I mean, especially for Stefania, you can't imagine a bigger game she could have played in, and just so calm and so cool and just dialed into her pre-shot. Like I'm in the booth calling this thing and my hands are shaking. Meanwhile, she's in the hack with her shot to open takeout to win an Olympic gold medal, and no mistake and no panic there. And it was just brilliant to watch. And then to see the emotion just bubble over once that shot came to rest was this wonderful moment in curling. And I think it's great for the game. I think it just shows how mixed doubles is a great option for any curler out there, especially for young curlers. It's an excellent way to get involved, and it's high pace and it's exciting, and you work on your draws and your finesse. And I really think this is going to mean big things for curling.
And Mike, I don't know. I mean, I'm always studying people's vibe, energy, and body language when I'm here, especially in the mixed zone. And it's kind of interesting that it almost seems like every other team but Canada is very joyful about their approach. They love the game. They're passionate about the game. And maybe when you're in Italy and you don't get to play every weekend on television and no one knows who you are until maybe this moment, maybe there's no pressure, and maybe they play simply for the joy of the game. I'm not sure what it is, but from all of the I noticed this.
I agree. It was palpable, wasn't it? You know, when you see how tight Canada looked in, and as they kind of lost the game here and there, there's all the tension kind of kept ratcheting up. Where with, as you said, that they could have been playing at their club on a Thursday afternoon for all we knew, and here they were playing for an Olympic gold medal, and it looked really easy. They just kind of were so calm, and who knows what's going on the inside, mind you. But there's two things. One, it's just great because in these smaller curling countries, it's sometimes hard to get a 4-person team. Mm-hmm. Someone like Stefania, try to find 4 equally talented, dedicated athletes. It's not that easy to do. And then so I think other countries might say, hey, if they can do it, we can do it. And it should start to grow the game. And let's go all the way back to 1998 when Sandra Schmirler defeated Denmark in the final. They had no dedicated ice in Denmark, right? And all of a sudden now they've got four big, well-established clubs in Copenhagen, and I expect in Italy, you know, those two are not going under the radar anywhere. Mosaner sticks out in a crowd. He is 6'6", big chiseled guy. And you got beautiful Stefania Constantini, who's going to become the face of those games leading in. And to your point, Devin, curling will be front and center at the next Olympics, whether they want it or not in Italy. And I was in Torino as well, and it was all Alberto Tomba in Torino, the great ski racer, and curling was kind of an afterthought. Mm-hmm. But even at those games, Joel Returnas came up with a big shock. He beat Russ, Brad Gushue and Russ Howard. And Joel's here back again with Amos. Amos Vamos Mosaner. I love that call from our Italian counterparts. That was like, I had chills and tears in my eyes watching that call from Italy. You just knew this was going to be massive back home for those two.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all took a page from the Italian play-by-play commentary.
We need to step it up
in the booth. But Bruce, now 4-person curling, and they're practicing the men behind me, and our thoughts turn to Brad Gushue and his Newfoundland and Labrador Team Canada rink. What are you expecting?
Oh, I expect a lot. I think if you look at this, it's a deep field, but there are 3 teams that I think rise to the top of the soup when you discuss this sort of at this point out with the draw to begin tomorrow. You got Sweden, you have Great Britain, and you have Canada. And Mike and I were talking about this. I think the ceilings for all of them are really, really high, the highest of any teams here. But maybe Gushue, and maybe this is where he has the advantage, that team, their floor is also high. So if they're slightly off, they're just very, very slightly off. And, over the course of a 10-day Bonspiel, having a a high floor, if you follow me metaphorically,
Right.
it can be a pretty good thing.
I would agree with that. And Joe, and actually, just before I get to Joe, Bruce, a quick thought. All these 16 years later, you were right there on the ice when Gushue won gold, and now you're in the booth calling his games. What a full circle moment for you.
It is. It was fun to be there with him. He looks the same. I look 32, 33 years older. That's the way it works. But you know what? It was awesome to be there, to be part of that. I remember, getting messages from back home on the East Coast. Newfoundland literally shut down 16 years ago. It was national holiday time. And it's going to be like that again. They're very proud of these guys there. And this is a really, really good Team Canada. They're not going to be flustered by the moments. Brad and Mark, they're just cool cats, So I'm looking forward to seeing them back on the ice. And the two young guys or younger guys up front, that Mark and Brad want to have something special for them as well. So a lot of good stuff going on, and Gushue's ready. There's no question.
And streets were named after them too. Do you remember, Bruce, how in Torino and Mike, they the Italians just loved curling so much because once they started getting to the rink because it reminded them of bocce, and you could see them, they would be going to like in the stands drawing it like this, and he's going to go there, and it was so cool.
It was, and they knew. But like, I've been reading tweets for the last 12 hours or so since that medal was awarded, and people all over the U.S. and they're kind of, curling is always on. So they're saying, this is me getting mad that curling's on, then also me saying, why aren't they playing the takeout? Why aren't they playing the draw? So people are, they're instant analysts in that's the type of sport that we have, and we're really fortunate, aren't we, with the mics on all the players and people who aren't that familiar with curling. I mean, this show excluded, obviously. I think everyone here knows what's going on, but it's really a nice thing to see that the game is going to expand globally because of what just happened. I did wonders for Switzerland myself back in '98, so I was proud of that moment. So as we try to expand, we all do our part to make the game grow wherever we can. But I said it's a great thing. But to Bruce's point, we've got two teams, especially, look at Gushue. I think they're pretty heavy favorites along with the other two. But I was talking about Italy a few weeks ago. Guess what? I think, they're not that much of a dark horse anymore, are they? With for that fourth playoff spot anymore. So it's going to be a fun week.
And Joe, you were there 4 years ago, so you know well the pressure and even though Bruce thinks, Gushue is team is pretty unflappable. Talk about that pressure that's here and compared to what you guys have faced in Pyeongchang.
We talked a lot about the women's field. There's 10 teams, and we feel like 7 or 8 of them, we wouldn't be surprised if they won the gold medal. And that's something that it's actually gotten a little bit better since we were there in 2018. So I think that we're in for a real treat. We're going to see lots of good shots, lots of great games. And I think our Canadian team, if they can get off to a good start, if they can get comfortable with the ice, I think they seem to be in a great headspace. I've been following them on social media. They just have this, very Zen-like attitude, this gratitude piece. They just seem to really be soaking in the experience. And there's that experience factor too. It's Jennifer Jones's second Olympics, Caitlin's third Olympics, Dawn's second Olympics, and Jocelyn will be the new one. And look at those guys at the hockey game.
Awesome. And Rachel too up there.
Yeah, I know that one in the top right. So nice to see that they were all out together and just kind of soaking in the experience and getting to be athletes and Olympians. And that in itself is such an incredible achievement. So I like where they're at with their headspace. I think if they can get off to a quick start and get comfortable with the ice, I think that we're in for a treat with our Canadian players. But like I said, the field is tough. And I think, we might see 3 losses, 4 losses, everything kind of in the mix. And I think we're going to see a real logjam at the end of the week with standings.
Oh, don't let it come down to last stone draw. That's all I say.
Make
let a tiebreaker decide that.
Make your draws. It starts at 7 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Gushue and the boys from the Rock take on Denmark. I think you guys are going to be well rested, a chance to sleep in or get some rest a little bit. Of course, Jones has the first draw off. And then I think it's South Korea, Japan, Switzerland, and Sweden to start, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome to the games, hey?
Yeah, you got to beat them at some point, so you might as well beat them early, I guess. Yeah, that's a tough start. They're loaded out of the gate, but as Joanne said, you look through, and Mike, what's the number? There's 8 women's teams here that have won big medals, right?
At the Worlds, yes, or Olympic Games. So there are 8 of these teams have been on the podium at a significant international event. So, like as Joanne just said, there are all kinds of opportunities for all of these teams. You told me Fujisawa won the gold. Yeah, great. Kim won the gold. Great. Kovaleva won the gold. Yeah, they're good. You just go down the list. It just and then you got Tiranzoni, 2-time defending world champion, Anna Hasselborg, defending Olympic champion.
And
on and on and on and on. So the women's field is it's just a special event this week, and all the countries are sending their best. And by the way, you've got 2 other teams that are there. China, who's very good. They've improved their lineup considerably, adding a new third, Wang Rei, who's just a phenomenal player, who was not at the bubble with this team. And then Denmark, who's, she qualified, she made the playoffs in the bubble. So those are the 2 bottom teams who are fantastic as well. So
awesome. Well, I can tell you being here at the Ice Cube, it's going to be very difficult to focus on just one game because, I'm sort of looking around all the time anyhow, but you just won't know where to look. It's just going to be a delightful experience for me. I'm here as a curling fan.
But all eyes on you 3 experts as you guide us through the next, I don't know how many days and how many hours. Can't wait.
One game at a time.
I love it. Thanks, guys. Have a great call in the morning.
And don't forget, study those Italian play-by-play people.
Right.
Goal! Something like that. Already. Okay, got it.
Bye, guys. All right, let's keep it going. Really excited about this call. Of course, you made some noise yesterday with you giving us the truth, and somebody was watching, of course. George.
It was not intentional, can I say? This is just a conversation between you and I and our Twitter friends.
Well, listen, you caught the attention of George Stroumboulopoulos, who, of course, quote tweeted what you were saying and saying you were spitting bars, and he's in the house.
I actually didn't know. I'm too old. I didn't know what spitting bars meant, but there you go.
Colleen, when a great rapper, when a great MC is throwing down unbelievable verses, we say we're spitting bars. And when I was watching you, because I love what you 2 are doing, when I was watching you talk about that, I was honestly just sitting at home and I just went, Colleen spitting bars, because she's telling some truth. And one of the things about Canadian sport that's so challenging is that a lot of times the people who cover it are so busy being fans, they won't tell the truth. And you told the truth, and I loved that.
Wow. Well, I hope I don't get spanked for telling the truth later. But anyhow, listen, have you ever curled before?
Yeah. I curled in high school. I started as a lead, then I was a vice, and then I was a skip. I did that for about 3 years. When I started as a junior reporter in my early days, I was covering Bonspiels. I remember covering one of the big Sandra Peterson wins when she was before she was Schmerla the curler. And so I started off covering curling for sports radio. It's honestly one of my favorite sports in the whole world. And to be able to watch it at the Olympics, and I was just listening to all you talk about how competitive a field it is. It's actually it's one of the great lines of the power of the game that so many countries around the world have made this no easy path for anybody. It's a truly global sport, and I love watching curling. I was so excited. I'm in the West Coast, so I was yelling at the TV watching the late feed. Oh my goodness, it was so fun.
I just thought you were so cool for school that I'm just trying to picture you curling in high school. I mean, you're a motorcycle wearing. I'm just speaking the truth here, okay?
So one day,
you and I could play mixed doubles.
I would love to. It's my only chance at winning a medal, but you'll never win with me. I'll drag you down. I'm no good. I went to one of those schools, Colleen, that didn't really have a big athletic program. And Devin, it's good to see you too, Dev, by the way. Hi, bud. We couldn't afford sliders, so we our school just put tape under our shoes. So we just slid on tape all the time. It was fun.
Electric tape. Hey, I started on electric tape, and can I tell you something? And this is for any junior curling watcher. Take your slider off, do what George did and what I did. You develop quads of steel. You got to thrust out of that hack with every thruster on possible.
Yep.
To this day, people will go, well, God, you got some thighs on you. I go, thank you. Thunder thighs, I call them, because of the electric tape.
Yep,
I love
absolutely.
it.
I loved it.
So push
I
out.
love what you're doing, and Dev, you bring so much joy as a fan of curling on social media, and you do it with just a reckless abandonment. It's been really fun to watch you. I mean, Dev and I spoke, I think, outside of an Oprah show many years ago.
We did. George, yeah, we did.
Okay, listen, why don't we get George on the team for Milano Cortina? We're already planning on packing the bags. I don't even know if I'm on the list, but I'm coming, and I'll be knocking on Devin's door going, yeah, let me in. Let me do this too. George, you could come as well and do that curling show with us.
Happy to.
George, wonderful to see you, and thank you for making time for us. You're such a fan of sport. We're coming 6 months later from the Tokyo Games in a pandemic. And wasn't that a rallying moment for this country? Now we're into these winter games. What's coming up for you as you've been watching this sport, these two unprecedented games in the midst of a pandemic?
Yeah, it's been super bizarre to watch it without fans. It's been really interesting to see broadcasters really scramble and how to cover a country that has a lot of really important issues to be discussed. So, and watching the Canadian broadcasts, watching the UN broadcast or US broadcasts, it's been really interesting to see how people try to cover sport in a world where so much other stuff's going on, and sport as in and of itself isn't enough to bring us together, because sport doesn't address the root causes of a lot of these inequities in the world. So it'd be really interesting to see how people have been covering it. But I do find my moments where I just sit back and I just want to watch, because having competed in sports in my life, but also been in this field and watching both you and your careers, there's something really pure about seeing a couple of people sit there and say, what we're playing for is to be the best in the world. And in a world that has so much opinion over what's good or what has quality, what there is no opinion applied to is who has the best score. Sports are the purest way to determine the best in many respects, because there's a score. Watching Canada win on that last shot, and stealing a point to get to where they go, to lose by a millimeter, to see all of this play out, it just lets me not focus on anything else in the world for a minute, and I'm so excited. I remember being in Newfoundland doing my old talk show from a bar on George Street just after the Gushue rink had won their gold medal, and they came by. They were rock stars. The fact that from 25 years old to 41, he's going for it again. Jennifer, who's been such a great leader in sport in our country, from the middle of the country, to go out there and to take another run at this, and their teams, and Caitlin playing, who knows what it's like to win mixed. So there's just so much, and it wouldn't be Canadian sport if we didn't find a thing to complain about. So there's also that layer to it, which I think is really interesting. I'm really excited to watch how this plays out.
Dang, you just spit some bars.
Oh,
Spit them right there. But can I tell you, being here on the ground, and I know everything that else is going on outside of the Olympic Games, the people here, they are so kind. I remember this from 2008 when I was here, and I bought a bicycle here so I could get around easier, see the city, not be on the media shuttle.
Right.
I got lost 1,000 times. Everybody helped me then. Everybody helps me every day. Like when I drop stuff, they're running, lady, and they're so kind. I mean, I just can't get over that. It's what I remember from 2008. So no matter what is going on politically, and I know that's not great, but man, the people are so helpful and kind here, like I remember them in 2008. And for that, I'm very, very thankful. So,
and as you know, the human rights conversations are about people in China. It's really important discussions to be had, and it's about protecting people and using. I mean, the Olympics are a strange thing anyway, how games are awarded. We know all of the backstory of the Olympics anyway. It's not like the Olympics are the purest situation, right? But what I think is important, especially now, is to be able to compartmentalize and say, I just really want to see Jennifer and Brad and their rinks win. Like, I really want to see them win, and I wanted Rachel and John to win. Can I ask you one question, Colleen, as somebody who's been in these high pressure games? One of the things about the mic'd up players that I found I love is I'm learning, but it didn't appear they were on the same page a lot. And I want to know if that was common, if that's really that common, or we were just seeing something that was that was indicative of some of the greater challenges you had mentioned earlier.
Well, here's the snafu. And George, this is our show, so we ask the questions, but we'll allow you.
We're in the red chairs. We're back in the red chairs, baby.
We talked a little bit about this, and so Rachel and John focus on their 4-person game all the time. So they very rarely get to play mixed doubles together. So they're used to their conversation and dialogue and communication that they develop weekend after weekend and day after day with their four-person. Then along they come here, and it was sort of a work in progress. And so we saw the communication gap after the first game, and they were actually still trying to work on it here. And so hence we don't use that word often enough, but we should. My soliloquy on the fact that they need to time the mixed doubles conversation and trials at an earlier time so that team can focus on that very extremely important part of curling, which is that communication and dialogue. You won't see that problem in the four-person game. They play together all the time, Gushue and Jones. So
yeah, I felt like we didn't put them in the best position to win at all. They still made incredible shots, and I love your both of your takes on it, because it wasn't directed at the athletes. It was directed. Right. It was directed at and it's a real testament, because Canada's been such a wonderful ambassador for curling around the world, that the sport gets picked up. That I think it's great that there's competition now.
Yep, absolutely. And to the point you're both bringing up about communication, pay attention to the way Gushue and the boys communicate. I think they are undoubtedly the best communicators in the world. Every piece of information on that ice, they are sharing with one another. And over the course of 9 games in a round robin, that information leads to points and leads to wins. George, what are you going to be watching for? Specifically in the curling, any predictions? Can Gushue and Jones make it double gold and get Canada back on top of the granite world?
Well, of course, I'm going to say they can, and I actually believe they can. I don't think it will be. I think there'll be some challenges with it. I definitely think there'll be some challenges, but I actually do think. I remember Brad at 25 being pretty stoic. I think he'll be pretty stoic at 41.
Yeah, he talks about the perspective he's gained with age. Yeah. Age is a good thing for that.
And the only good thing about age. Yeah, that's true. And Jennifer was 47. I think Jennifer's 47 now. So Jennifer, we're sending adult teams who will not be swayed by the pressure. I imagine that at some point, I've talked to a lot of athletes over the years, and they say, especially the boxers, when the first punch is thrown, you forget about everything else, and it's even the game plan goes away, and you're just here to win. And I imagine that the same thing will happen here. I also think that with everything else going on in the world, we are so lucky that our country is being represented by 2 rinks that have those temperaments. They both have the right temperaments to manage all of the other stuff that's going around at this time. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for calm. I'm also looking to see them enjoy it. I think it won't be as tense, I think, for in those early days watching it.
Agreed.
Yeah, they both talked. I find it amazing that Gushue says, my life isn't going to change if I win another Olympic gold medal. And isn't that such a beautiful space energetically to be in, when you're going on the ice and you're not gripping that handle and that rock like he would have been when he was a baby-faced 25-year-old. And I think in life and in sport, when you're playing free, magical things can happen.
No doubt.
Oh, 100%.
No doubt.
And I'm not sure how much. Is he there? I'm not sure. Listen, Colleen, as an athlete, when you tell reporters how you feel about stuff, what percentage was truth and what percentage was a lie? That you wish was true.
I was always speaking the truth. And I do find both Brad and Jennifer and they're always speaking the truth almost. Every and then you might get a cliche, but they say it as it is. So I think that'll continue here.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be really. It's been good. I think watching the hockey game last night was exciting as well to see how that kind of played out, especially as it changed in the third period. So there's a lot of competitive spirit happening at the games. I was so happy that the big air, the men like Mark McMorris and Max had those big showings as well. I know Mark didn't want a bronze, but the first snowboarder in that 3 medals and 3 different these are really important moments, and these are the people that are helping to create the love of the game in our country, because people forget that the X Games was an afterthought for the mainstream for a long, long time. And it wasn't that long ago that Mark McGuire stole everybody's heart in the mainstream. So watching here, it's been really a fun Olympics. The backdrops are weird. You know, the backdrops are weird for the big air jumps. The environment stuff's very weird for sure. But whenever I see the rink and I hear the rocks crashing behind you, it's like it settles me. It just settles me.
Exactly.
Yes.
Anyhow. All right. Well,
Good.
awesome. Nice having you with us.
Nice to see you both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really great.
And mixed doubles, I'll get a hold of you. He says, Colleen, don't ever get a hold of me ever.
Anytime you
I'll
want.
go set our training.
I better start stretching.
Thank you, George.
Bye.
Good to see you. How awesome. And so thoughtful and knowledgeable, of course, to be expected.
I didn't know he was a curler with electric tape coming out of in high school. I just did not know that. But everybody should try that because it really, try doing a full practice in that. You're going to feel that on those thunder thighs the next day.
Feel the burn. And of course, we are getting so excited for the 4-person game to start. And I know Newfoundland and Labrador, they're getting fired up, no doubt. Let's first meet the team, Team Gushue. I know you all know them, but let's get another glimpse at the team. And then we're going to Mark Nichols' wife, Colette, who's back home. So let's take a look at the montage.
Certainly dealing with Brett or dealing with Jeff or Mark, we're all different. So I've learned those situations, I've learned the individuals, and I kind of know when to push the proper buttons. Brett's a little bit more like me, a little bit more high strung, and shows a little bit more emotion, and that's something that I've had to learn how to handle.
Everybody's involved, everybody has their role, and there's trust in one another that if you need help, we're going to be there to help. We're all trying to make the shot together. It's not individual at all. It's everybody has their role, everybody trusts that everybody's going to do their role, and I think you need to have that to be at our level.
Jeff we got to check his heartbeat. I think I've said that to him many times. Like, he's just so cool and so calm.
It took 3 or 4 years to us really get into that, one of the top teams in the world again for him. But obviously winning 3 Briars and now Olympic trials and over the last 5 years is pretty special.
Mark's kind of the steadiness, I think, on the team. He's going to be there. He's going to show up and be ready to play. And it's just steady. You know what you're going to get. I think for me, the emotions kind of get a little bit higher or lower, but Mark's pretty steady.
We don't go out and we don't take anyone for granted. We go out, we play our game, and we know if we play well, we should give Brad a shot to win.
Yeah, it's been a good mix.
It's been a good mix. That might be an understatement. Good morning, Colette.
Good evening.
Oh, right. I forget I'm in Beijing. Good evening to you. Oh, my God. How excited are you? Look at that Canadian flag behind you.
There's a lot of Canadian flags in my house right now. My 7-year-old wanted to decorate, so the front windows are done. The back of the house is done. It's all over.
Nice.
Colette, wonderful to see you. Where are the nerves at, and what's the atmosphere around your family and the community and Newfoundland and Labrador?
They're high. They're really high. I feel like at any moment I could cry. At any moment I could scream. I'm just so excited, and it's starting. It's finally starting. So we're just so happy.
I'm just looking to see if they're playing, by the way, because I know they practiced this morning last night in
I'm pretty sure they're practicing at like 10 o'clock Beijing time, I think it is.
You are right. But sometimes they come early, especially with Jules to get his binoculars on, because these are brand new rocks, right?
I'm sure Jules has been there every day.
Yeah, actually, he probably has been here every day with his binoculars. Tell me about not being here. How hard is that, that you guys can't be here in person? Oh.
And this is where you'll get me.
Sorry.
It's hard. It's really hard. I got to go 16 years ago, and that's just an experience that I'll never, ever forget. And leading up to this Olympics, we always talked about going as a family, like being able to take our kids with us. So not to be able to have that moment has been a bit harder to process, But really what keeps me going is Mark is always reminding me that whether we're actually with him in the stands or watching from home, he can feel us. He knows that we are right there with him. So that gives me peace, and that makes me feel a little bit better about having to be at home watching on the TV, really.
Beautiful, Colette. Thank you for that. And you guys, Mark has been so sharing of this journey and how much time he's been spending with the boys. What do the boys make of all of this?
I don't think there has been a day that Beckett Nichols hasn't worn a Canada shirt since he won the Olympic trials, since Mark won the trials. He has worn Canada every day. He talks about Team Canada every day. He's now asking about other sports too, like the hockey, the speed skating, big air. He's just really, really, really into it right now. He really is now seen and understands all of the hard work that's gone into this, all of the sacrifice that's gone into this. Every time my 4-year-old sees a Canada flag, he says, "There's Daddy's flag. That's Daddy's flag." And that just tugs right here every time you hear it, that our kids are now seeing firsthand everything that has gone into this. There's been a lot of sacrifice. There's been a lot of hard work. There's been tears, and luckily for the past couple of years, we've been on the higher end of it. The boys have really got to see the guys bring a few trophies home, right? And wear that maple leaf. So it's just been a wonderful learning opportunity for my kids as well.
Very cool.
Colette, tell me how you're living your life over these next one during their Olympic run now. Are you on Beijing time?
I am going to do my very best to be on Beijing time, and there's probably going to be a few afternoon naps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Devin can share secrets on how to do this.
Well, not yet, because I don't have that down yet. Colette.
Well, I sent Devin a message. I was like, "Listen, I'll help try and keep you awake as long as you can remind me to remember to breathe."
Right.
Because there's going to probably be times where I'm going to either be hiding underneath the coffee table or I'm going to be standing on top of it. Like, I don't know.
It's hard to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got no control. Earl Morris spoke well about that. I'm just seeing if they're in the house yet for you.
Yeah.
I would bring the computer down for a kiss, but you've probably already done that on your FaceTime or whatever you're using.
Colette, are you talking to Mark? How are you guys keeping in touch?
Yeah, we've had a really good system going since he's gotten into Beijing. When he's going to bed at nighttime, we're waking up. So we've been having kind of breakfast every morning with him. He's kind of been watching me help get the kids ready for school. And, he's saying, "Have a good day." And they're saying, "Good night, Dad." So that's kind of been our time frame where the kids have been able to have a few minutes with him before he's getting ready to start his next day. And they've been spoiled a little because he's been sharing what he's been doing out and about in the village on these days where curling hasn't quite started yet. So Beckett is just over the moon that he went to a hockey game yesterday, that he got to see the women. Mark sent him a whole bunch of video clips. So Beckett was just, he just thought that was the best thing ever.
Yeah, nice that they can communicate so easily now compared to 2006. Right?
Well, I said to Mark's dad, I was like, 16 years ago, I think there was one cell phone that we shared between the whole entire family. Like everybody was there, had one phone in Pinarolo, and it was like, whose turn is it to use it today? So, and now you can kind of, maybe we have a little too much access to them this time around, I'm wondering.
Oh, I can only imagine your nerves over the next little while, but my goodness, these guys are a solid team. So I think you can relax. Your Mr. Nichols is nothing but a shot maker, boy, all the time. So
no, I'm super proud. I'm super proud of Mark. I'm so proud of all of the boys. And I think if there's one thing that this team really has going for them is it's their communication. It's the way they talk to each other, the way they're communicating on the ice and off the ice, and they're ready to go. Like I can feel it. They're ready.
Yeah. And for the record, the entire Atlantic provinces adopts Team Newfoundland and Labrador. I mean, I know all of Canada does as well, but we have so few Olympians from the East that we latch on like this to all of them. And they're so super proud of them, what they've done, what they've accomplished from the Rock is pretty amazing.
Well, I'm not even a real Newfoundlander, let's say. I was born in Saskatchewan, so I'm an import.
I was waiting for that, Colette.
I'm an import.
Yeah, a CFA, really. Yeah. So.
Well, they've always welcomed me with open arms, and I moved here in 2005, and we're not leaving.
Yeah,
we love it here.
Once
nice.
It's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
Good for you to be with us today, and try not to bite your nails and get too nervous.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. This was an
we'll
honor.
have you back.
You were one of my heroes growing up, and there's nobody better to cover the game for us than Devin.
Oh, Devin's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And wonderful to see you. We'll be in touch, no doubt.
Yes, thank you.
And enjoy the games.
Big hugs, guys. Thank you.
Lots of hugs. Thanks, Colette.
Enjoy. Boy, the stress on families, all Canadian athlete families, to not be here. That is so hard. And we've heard that over and over again. But nice for Colette to describe. And of course, because of the age of the two Canadian teams here, there's a lot of children of these athletes back at home, Brad and Mark's kids. And on the women's side, Jennifer and Dawn. I think they've got a total of 8 kids altogether, if I'm counting right. So, and Jeff Walker, little Liam, baby Liam. We'll have to talk to Laura Walker-Carker.
We absolutely.
I always add all those words.
What a show tonight, Call. Thank you to the fans, as always, for tuning in. And this is it, right? There's no turning back now. With the 4-person game. Are you ready to rock, Call?
I'm ready to rock. And I mean, no sport goes longer at the Olympics in curling. We start ahead of the opening ceremonies and we go right to the very end. So for us, for Devin and I, we're now living the dream, except that we're not together. I love seeing that montage, by the way, that you and I did. Remember that morning as we look at the schedule, the morning after Gushue's team won. And boy, they barely got any sleep at all when they walked in and did that interview. And yet each of them answered so eloquently and gave so much of their time. And if you haven't seen them drawing the Canadian flag, we can repost it on Twitter because that's adorable. It was almost like when we brought out those crayons and they're like, oh, good. We're coloring. Like,
And then all of a sudden their roles and their competitive juices really came out. It was neat to see their personalities in that competition. 2 wonderful teams to be representing Canada, 2 teams that are ready to take on the world, and 2 people, Colleen and I, who are going to keep you posted throughout all of this. Can't wait, Call.
Can't wait as well. The only thing better is if you were right here with me, but you know that already. Love you, Dev. Thank you, producer Soph. We'll see you again tomorrow.
I'm with you, Call. Love you too. Have a great day.